Life Chats, it's a Friday. Friday, March 20th, the year of our Lord, 2026. And what a pleasure it is to be with you today. The crew's here. Colton, Sarah, they're here. We got a special guest. We'll get to him in just a moment. We just want to remind you about all the wonderful things that are going on in our church in this time of the year. We're entering into a really amazing time for the church as we celebrate the redemptive qualities, the power, Christos Victor, the one who has come to make us a victor over sin, death, and the grave. So there's going to be a lot of things. We'll announce some of that at the end, programs that we're having, things that we'll be having in this season, in this time. It's going to be wonderful. And we invite you to come out for that. But as we do that, as we look at all the things that will be going on this week, we also have a new group that'll be starting in the next couple of weeks. And this young man that's right by me right now, he's going to talk to you about the groups that we're going to be starting. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to meet this guy, man. He's awesome, loves the Lord. Give it up, everybody. This is Brother Tom here. He's one of our deacons. Teaches, the crowd is going wild. You can't hear it, but man, they're going crazy right now. Yeah. So this is really cool. You're a deacon. You're a teacher. You're in the military, and you've been going here for how long?
So far, we started coming here, and my wife Lisette and I started coming here in 2024, I apologize.
Okay.
So it's been 2 years.
2 years.
She started coming while I was deployed overseas, and I started with the men's group while I was overseas through FaceTime.
Now, that's amazing. You told me that you have been deployed how many times?
I've been in the Army for almost 20 years. I can count on both hands how many times I've been overseas.
Wow.
Four of which since 2020.
Yeah, you've been deployed. That's what it was. That it was either 5 or 4 times. You have been deployed since 2020.
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. That means almost every year.
Just about, adding it all together, just about, yeah. At least once a year.
You know a little bit about that military life.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit about how that happened. You told me also, and you don't have to go too much into it, but you had a beautiful encounter. Like you've been in the military, you said 20 years.
Yeah.
And something happened beautifully. And I think you said you were with your feet in the sand or something. Tell me about that.
So back in 2010, I'd been in the Army for 4 years. I had an incident in Afghanistan that it caused me to walk away from my faith.
Okay.
And by walk away, I mean I stopped praying. I stopped going to church.
Right.
And to me, I just thought God was done with me. Right. I thought He was done with me, and that I did not have a seat in heaven anymore.
Right.
Right. I was not allowed at the table.
It was different than you didn't believe God existed. You weren't deconstructing. You were just thinking He was done with you.
Oh, absolutely. I knew He existed. Yeah. I just figured He was done with me. I went to churches here and there a couple times over the next 13 years, and every time I always had this overwhelming feeling, right? And I just felt it was God telling me, get out, right? Like, you don't belong here. And then in October of 2023, I'm sitting on a beach in Florida with my wife, and we're just kind of talking overall about God, right? And yeah, I believe He existed. I just didn't think He wanted me, right? And I kind of went into my testimony with her. And as I'm doing that, I saw the most beautiful thing happen. And it was with a sunset, right? Which I believe sunsets and sunrises are gifts from God that He paints for us every day to tell us how much He loves us, right? But in this sunset, it was cloudy, it had been raining, and just this opening with this light happened. And something told me, hey, I was never done with you. I was waiting for you to turn around and remember I'm still here. That next Sunday I went to church, and I felt the Holy Spirit. And after that, I think I've missed maybe 2 Sundays worth of church.
So, we're living in a really interesting age now, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But as we're living there's this heightened sense of conflict, and even for me particularly, this heightened respect or regard for people who have served or serve our country. I mean, I have a good buddy that he's a pilot in the Air Force, and his a really good friend was one of the seven that has been seven that I've heard so far, maybe more by now, but seven that had been killed in this latest altercation. And he was telling me kind of about that, and I'm listening, talking to him because he does the same job, and I'm thinking, wow, this is even more real to me because I have a little bit of a closeness in that situation. And so there's a little bit of a respect for, I won't say a little bit, but there's a respect for people that do what you do. You understand through conflict, you were overseas, how people can get their faith, I don't want to say destroyed because yours wasn't destroyed, but it was certainly bruised, or it was certainly, maybe your faith was destroyed, but you didn't stop believing in God.
I would say it was shaken.
Shaken.
I wouldn't say that it was destroyed because I don't think there's a person in this world,
Right.
a human in this world that doesn't believe God exists. They can say but the fact they're talking about him,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's, I believe it's, I'm just thinking of some name, Stephen Charnock, who really deals with the idea that there's no real atheist, right? That we all believe something. One theologian, not theologian, but one philosopher would say that your God is whoever your highest value is. Whatever your highest value is your God. In essence, there's no real atheist, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that's interesting that we all value or worship something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even atheists, maybe 10, 15 years ago, built their first church in, I think, Louisiana. You know, for somebody who practices an absence of faith,
Right.
to have a place for your faith and worship
Right.
was, you know.
Well, and it almost is appropriate, right? Because atheism needs a lot of faith to believe that.
Absolutely.
To totally try to, because if you were, I mean, just the idea that we're walking around and nothing's holding this all together, and soon it could all, we could just, what is keeping us from the earth from falling off of its axis and flying into the sun? And so the atheist, just to plan for tomorrow, has to have some kind of faith or some kind of belief in something, that this world is not just utterly going to be combustible in just any moment.
You're absolutely right. And you look at going a little bit off top, but just creation, right? I mean, how everything had to be so perfect and specific for everything to work the way it does right now. And I heard something, it was a few days ago, I can't remember where I heard it from, but it said maybe coincidence is just God's way of staying anonymous, right? He doesn't want you to know he can, right? He has. But why does he have to show you the chess pieces he's moving? Maybe coincidence, which is what we say the Big Bang Theory was. It was just, and everything else is
Random.
coincidence. Maybe, right? But also maybe that's just God's way of staying anonymous.
Yeah, because even that, even if it is coincidences and randomness, you speak of the Big Bang Theory. I don't know any other thing or any other idea that could say that chaos can form order.
No.
All of a sudden, order comes out of this random chaos, and now we have to do that. So let's go back to that. So your faith was shaken.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't lose it. So you kind of understand. Oh wait, because when I think of the person's faith not being shaken, I can fathom that, but I cannot relate to the idea of the lifestyle that you lived in another country, fighting in war, bullets flying, conflict, all of those things. So you can relate to the person that might be watching right now overseas. That might be, about to go overseas, and they're fearful and they're wondering how they can keep their faith intact.
I would say that it sometimes is hard to really look into it and say, I'm just going to blindly be faithful all the time, right? And it is hard, right? But in the military, right, you blindly follow your leaders, right? They say, do this, you do it. So on the other hand, when God says move, you move.
Yeah.
And that's all I can tell you is you have to give as much effort to God as you do, especially in the military, as you do the orders of the commanders above you. right? You give that effort, you're going to be solid.
So the reason we talk about this, because our church is about to do a new Bible study, a new opportunity, a new life group, if you will. And it's basically for those people that are in the military. And only you guys know. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't fellowship in other areas of the church, but only you guys really, really know what it's like to be in the military or military wives where your husband is deployed. Only you guys have an insight to what that is like, being away from your family for long periods of time and so forth. And we also know that oftentimes deployment can destroy marriages or destroy relationships. So for those who are watching this, I mean, what are some things that you found are helpful in those times of distance from your family, from your home, from your churches and community and so forth? What are some things that you have found that work, that can keep you in the vine, if you will?
Well, it's so much easier now than it was when I joined. Back when I joined, you had a little wooden shack that has a phone that you wait in line for hours to use to make a 5-minute phone call home off of one of your minute cards, Everybody has these cell phones, right? And you can communicate every day. You can get smart cards and SIM cards overseas. So it's a lot easier to be able to really stay grounded in your marriages, to stay grounded in your faith. I mean, this last year while I was over in Bulgaria, I tuned in every Sunday to listen to Pastor Derrick, as he gave the sermon. Every Sunday, about 8 o'clock my time is when it went live. And I was able to watch it every night. So it's a lot easier now. But there are going to be times when you don't have that. And my advice would be to continue to seek the communication with your family as much as you can. Right. And I'm not just saying you and your wife, you and your girlfriend, you and your kids, but you and your parents, you and your siblings, right? And you and your church. It doesn't have to be just go on Facebook and see the Facebook Live or watch a YouTube series. Talk to people, right? Because we do have the opportunities, we have the technology to do so. If we use it for that matter, it is going to help.
I think that's really interesting because, I do remember when I was a little bit younger and people going into the military and writing them letters and getting letters, physical letters back. And I don't even know if they're teaching handwriting as much anymore as they will be typing. But I didn't hear back from people for a long time. And there is a luxury in living in the age that we live in that maybe you'll be away from people, but you can still have the luxuries of FaceTiming, of still staying engaged with community in terms of of community and services and things that we offer here in our church, but most every church in the country, you can get online now as well. So do you, because some people don't, if they're not in the building, they don't think it matters, but you're saying while you're over there online, it really helped you in the vine or with God if you were tuning in or if you were watching and calling and doing those things?
Oh, absolutely. I was able to stay in with the sermons, follow along with my Bible as I had the Facebook Live going, or when I was doing with the men's group here. I would have it pulled up on my phone, on my Kindle app, whatever it is, the Amazon books.
You bet.
Reading through there and talking at the same time on the phone with the men's group and being able to have fellowship and communion with them. And it really did help my faith. And then we also, every battalion and higher organization has a chaplain, right? And so those chaplains also help to serve and to bring you your faith as well. And when you don't have access to a church, they can also help you with that.
So what's the role or the goal for this new group that is going to be held here at our church? Well, what's the goal? What's the role? And then where will it be held at?
So the goal of this group initially is to kind of bring everybody together that really has served or is currently serving, right? It's going to be for active duty, National Guard, reserves, veterans. And then it's also open to those who haven't served, right? But they may be serving in a different role. Maybe they're a spouse. Maybe there's somebody who just supports the military and wants to walk with them for a little bit and talk with them in fellowship. It's open to everybody. And the goal is really initial fellowship, right? To kind of give everybody a place, because that is something that I think is unique about being in the military is you cannot know somebody but feel like you know them because you have that history together, right? And so bringing everybody together in fellowship, but then expanding that, right? Because I believe fellowship is the foundation of a church, and community is where you start to really build, right? And so I want this group to begin with fellowship and really just grow in our faith, but also to start doing community things and to grow this church.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this church has been so amazing.
Yeah.
It really has.
And did you say when and where?
Yeah, so our first meeting is actually tomorrow morning,
Okay.
10 a.m. here in the church lobby.
Nice.
And it'll be every third Saturday from there.
Every third Saturday, 10 a.m. here in the lobby. Now, one of the things that we've been talking about on Sunday mornings is the idea of deception. And so one of the most prevalent signs that you're living in the last days will be the increased amount of deception. But in that, when Jesus first says deception, beware that you're not deceived, and all these things, he then talks about wars and rumors of wars, and here you are, a person in the military. And I think so many times that we look to diverse places, or earthquakes in diverse places, or wars and rumors of wars, and we get our focus on those things, and we get off the greatest and most prevalent sign that we're living in the last days or the last times is the increased amount of deception. How will your group help with us not falling into deception, you think?
So, I mean, the book of Matthew, chapter 24, talks about it very well. And if you look at, I believe it's Matthew 24:12, right? It talks about how lawlessness, right, will be abundant, and it's going to make our hearts turn cold. Well, to me, that means obedience will lax, right? And in the military, obedience is everything. Loyalty is everything, right? And that's part of the first lesson my group's going to do tomorrow is obedience and balance, right? How do you stay obedient to God when you have to be obedient to your leaders, right? And the balance there, because sometimes it's a very gray area. And I think that deception, as we continue to get closer to the point where he comes back, that's where the false prophets are going to start. There's laxing obedience to God because they say, oh, you don't have to, you don't have to pray. You don't have to worship to him because of this, that, and the other. Really, that's what turns your hearts cold. It turns you away, and it makes it easier for you to get pulled away from God because you stop being obedient.
That's an interesting one, yeah, that disobedient, certainly disobedient children will be a part of the signs of the last stage. But you talk about that idea of the love of God waxing cold. Let's deal with that just for a second, because basically that is one thing that you could say characterized your post-2010 is that the love of God was waxing cold for whatever reason, and now it's hot again.
Yep.
And so this idea of how does fellowship, community, help our hearts not wax cold? Because we have, El Paso's so interesting because we got one of the biggest military bases in the country here, and thus there are hundreds of thousands of people, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but I don't think I am, that are away from their families, right? That they've moved and there are other places, and maybe many of them, young people particularly, might be depressed. I realize that there is a problem in terms of mental illness, loneliness, and suicidation that has happened in the military as well. And so you have issues because you're separate, maybe because you're separate. I don't know them all. That may not be causation, but it is a significant statistic. But so there is people that are away from their families. How do they keep their love not waxing cold?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. How does somebody not grow cold? I mean, it is the community, it's the fellowship, it's the family, right? It's not just, hey, I want to talk to you about this, and that does help, sure, but having the comfortability to be able to speak to someone and feel as if you're talking to an older brother or a friend rather than just speaking to an instructor or a leader. I think that's what helps you. And if I would have had that personally, I think at the time, again, when I was there, you had the wooden shacks with an MWR phone, right, to maybe call home every once in a while. You now have the phones where you can call somebody anytime. You can call an elder at the church. You can call, a mentor. You can call, you can call the pastor, and they'll pick up and they'll talk with you. I mean, recently we had a member who was having issues, member in the military, member of the church, and I was able to reach out and we were able to talk, and he's honestly flourishing again. I think his heart was growing cold because of events happening in his life. And the community aspect of this church alone, the fellowship in this church, has just brought him back so on fire. I saw him worshiping the other night, and it was such a beautiful thing.
I think the idea of community is so important. And it is through community that helps us to fend off a lot of things, false doctrines, depression, isolation, so forth. Community is so important because it is, I believe that it's through the community of the believer that God speaks to. I mean, obviously, he speaks through his word, but how we're able to interpret or have a theology or base our understanding upon that word is found in the community as we're talking to each other, as we're sharpening each other, as we're hearing each other's testimony, as we're saying amen to each other. We are being sharpened and shaped into the image of God through the position of community.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's vitally important. And it's also vitally important to help us to not enter into deception.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think community is the key for us, right? You have that community, you have that fellowship within the community, and I think that's really what brings you in. It becomes a family. It's not just, I got church and I have, people who go to church with me. It becomes your church family. It's your family away from your family, to the point where, you're meeting with each other outside of church because you want to talk, and it's not just a church event. You're hanging out. They're now your family, and that's what really brings everything in, because your family is where you get your values from, right? And your church family can be that.
Right. Yeah, we're all shaped by the community that we're affiliated with. And that's easy to know, because if you're around somebody long enough, you start having their mannerism, you start saying some of the same things they say. And you can oftentimes tell what community a person belongs to. And you probably more than me would be able to notice somebody in the military because of the way they walk, or the way they whatever things that will point out if somebody's in the military. You can see those things, and they should be formed. The Christian community should be formed in us as well.
I agree.
And it's formed in us through the place of community. It's formed in us through the place of fellowship. And that is a powerful way to fend off deception.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great guard against deception. So when you talk about Matthew 24 and you see Jesus' words in Matthew 24, he says, I was looking at to know or to learn the parable of the fig tree.
Yeah.
And so that idea is Jesus is telling them, well, this is going to be some signs that I'm giving, and if you're going to be able to live in these signs, you got to know the signs, you got to know the parables, you got to understand the symbolic language, and not just symbolic language, you have to understand what he's saying. And so again, going back to this group, particularly for military people, there's also going to be a real, not intense, but an opportunity to learn.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's really what we're trying to do. Is it's not exactly a Bible study. We're meeting once a month. We will study the Bible. The book is the foundation, right? So we're going to have the book. The book is going to be there for us. This particular month we're going over the book of Joshua.
Oh, nice.
Right.
If there wasn't a better military kind of book to go through, that's a good one. Huh?
That's the one. You talk about somebody who's obedient. Right. When everything else made sense to scale the ladders and attack a town, right? Now God said, just march around, right? For 6 days, march around. Then the 7th day, do it 7 times, blow your trumpets and yell at them. Made no sense. Any military officer, NCO is going to tell you that doesn't make any sense at all. But he did. He was obedient.
Right.
And God brought the walls down. Right. So that's where we're kind of starting, is with Joshua, because I think that's just a really good foundation. But I think learning to be good Christians while still being a good soldier is where I'm really wanting to lead this group to.
I think that's phenomenal. I think about the verse in Joshua where he goes to the captain of the host and he asks the captain of the host, the Lord of the hosts, he says, are you for me or for my enemies? Which is a great question.
Great question. Absolutely.
God, are you on my team or are you going on the other team, especially if we're fighting like a military? Are you with us? Are you with Iran? What are you with? And the captain of the host basically said, neither.
I'm with God's army.
Yeah. And so that to me is a great distinction in terms of where our loyalty needs to lie.
Absolutely.
It needs to lie with Jesus and Jesus first.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really why I picked that book, because that verse there specifically, right? And are you for the army or are you for God? No, you should be for both, right? Most of the time, right, the integrity, the values for both are going to align. There are times where they won't.
Right.
And that's where this group is going to be important, because this group, not only are we going to have community and fellowship with each other to be able to talk to each other when we're struggling, because everybody who's been and worn the uniform at some point is going to have that struggle of, am what I'm doing, is it right as a Christian? Right? It's right for the military. My commander told me to do this, so I'm going to do it. But is it right as a Christian? And when you get to that point of that struggle, you have to make that choice. And part of this with the group is like, yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble with the military or your commanders, but also, right, God should always come first.
Right. So in terms of your group and in terms of what we've been studying on deception, what would you say?
I would say that in the military, you learn how to do things urgently and quickly. But when it comes to God, if somebody is telling you to be urgent, you have to do this now, or you won't be saved, it's probably deception. Discernment is extremely important, and endurance, right? You're not going to have somebody come and tell you Jesus came back, right? You're already going to know, right? Jesus tells us that. He tells us, you're going to know when I come back. Like, you're not going to need somebody to tell you. And as long as you keep that in your head and you keep endurance, you keep that integrity, you keep those values in the military that you get taught, and you give those to God, you're going to be fine.
I will say, there are sects and heresies that have come out of this place that Jesus has returned, or Jesus is here, Jesus is, and we dismiss them so easily, like you just said. That's silly. But there's some persuasive, slick talkers in those faiths as well. And when you're not rooted and grounded in the Bible, you can be taken away. And so the best tool for discernment is the book.
Absolutely.
It is the Bible. And so get into a group that can teach the book and show you the ways of the book. All right, tell us again when it is, where it's at, what time it's at, and what you'll be studying there. And who's invited?
So everybody's invited.
Okay.
Everybody can come. This is not, whether you come to this church or not, you're welcome to come, right? The doors will be open, I promise you. 10 a.m., the third Saturday of every month. Our first meeting is 21 March tomorrow. Right?
Okay.
All right, so 21 March tomorrow, 10 a.m. Everybody's invited. Be here in the church lobby. And we're going to be studying over the book of Joshua, going over obedience and balance. Built for battle, rooted in Christ.
All right, built for battle, rooted in Christ. Tomorrow will be the first meeting that we have for our new life group that'll be hosted here at Life Church. And man, we're so excited for you. And I just so appreciate you. So ladies and gentlemen, could you give it up one more time for Brother Tom? There it is. They're clapping for you again. I'm so excited about what he is doing in our church and what God is doing in our church. And so tomorrow is the first meeting. So if you listen to this right now, you can come in and be a part of what God is doing at our church. Also want to say that at 9 a.m. on Sunday, 9 a.m., we have our first service. And then the second service will be followed by our 11 o'clock service. So 9 a.m. and 11 o'clock. Every Sunday morning, we are here, 1580 Joe Battle. We'd love to have you. You can come and join us anytime. We'll be worshiping with you. And we are on the road to Easter. So not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, we're going to have Palm Sunday. And we're going to have a donkey that your family can take a picture with. Why a donkey? Well, the Bible says on Palm Sunday that Jesus rode one right into the city, and that he was lowly riding on a colt or a donkey. It uses another word that some people might say is a curse word, so I won't say that one. But he'll be coming on a donkey. He did come on a donkey. Also, we'll have one. He won't be in the church. I won't ride it in the church, but it'll be outside. You can take a picture. And what we want you to do is we want you to take a picture with your family on the donkey and then post it on your Facebook and telling people, hey, we invite you to our church on Sunday morning. So coming up, that's Palm Sunday. After Palm Sunday, we're going to have a Monday, Thursday, where we're going to enjoy each other. We're going to break our fast together. There'll be food here. There'll be time here. There'll be a special part of that service that I'll announce this Sunday as well. But we're going to have a good service then. Also, Good Friday, we're going to celebrate what Jesus did. We're going to look to the cross. But as we're looking to the cross and we take in the things that happen on the cross, we will then turn our eyes to the Sunday. Sunday's coming. The resurrection is coming. But before Sunday, we got an Easter extravaganza. Come with your families, get some eggs, enjoy each other. And then again, on Sunday morning, we will be here. 3 services this time on Easter. 8:30, 10:30, 12:30. And guess what? You're invited to either or all of them. We're really going to need some volunteers. So we're really going to ask people to please be at one of the services. If you're not at the first one, or you can volunteer. So please come, and we'll see you. Like, subscribe, review. Deacon Tom, man of God. So good to see you guys. We'll have you back. See you next time here on Life Chats.